Today is a good day. A good day to all of you anime fans to free your waifus from the reach of these political activists. These political activists who masquerade as bloggers or journalists in many mainstream news outlets always have hot takes, and most of these hot takes are not only absolutely useless for their cause, but it's also damaging to their image and also the image to whatever kind of entertainment media they're attacking today, which absolutely baffles me. And why would someone make an article like this?
The troubling relationship between anime and fascism.
Well, at least you spelled fascism correctly. That's a problem that a lot of these political activists have in common. Now, I picked this article up because it's a great way to dive into the mind of the writer. Spoiler alert, the writer is absolute cuckoo. But this article is a good example to illustrate my previous point. The writer is clearly an activist, but writing this article, calling out animes for having Nazi themes, would only damage your side of the argument. Not only that this wouldn't get people to be on your side, but there are gonna be more people who subscribe to the ideologies that you oppose because you went to their favorite entertainment media. So what is this article, and what is this article doing in sci-fi? Yes, that's sci-fi. Well, this article is a diary. It is the diary of the author and how the author felt uncomfortable seeing Nazi imagery in anime. I really hope that you didn't stumble upon Yojo Senki or Jinro. Maybe you can watch something more comforting like Ouran High School Host Club.
We will bring you guys down. All hail Super Club!
Actually, forgive me, writer, I take that back.
I just wanted to watch a nice anime about people encountering gigantic fruit. At least that's how I was first exposed to ACCA, 13th Territory Inspection Department, an anime series ostensibly about an inspector investigating a possible conspiracy to overthrow the government.
Ugh, writer, don't make me see another anime because people are salty about it. I did that for the Goblin Slayer anime, and well, let's save that particular salt for a very special meme stream next time. 7 PM EST as always, and it's at first day, a day early special because the last one was a chaotic mess, so yay for that, link down below. And speaking of yay, you can also make me say yay by supporting me on Patreon. And I want to say thank you to my new patrons, Bryce, James, Macon, Tomahawk God, and Futama. You guys are fantastic.
I struggled through that first episode, not because the plot was boring, it wasn't, or because the characters were bland, they were actually quite charming. My shallow hang-up was with uniforms.
Seriously? When bunch of people complain about that scene in Goblin Slayer, and you complain about the freaking uniforms. Oh, okay. So you admitted that the plot wasn't boring and the characters aren't bland, but you are so unbelievably bothered by the clothes that they wear that you wrote an entire article, not only calling this out, but also other anime out. The entire reason why this article exists is because you are personally bothered by the clothes. Why should people care that you are bothered by them? This is an incredibly trivial pet peeve. This does nothing to improve the anime or improve anything in general.
It dawned on me that I wouldn't feel comfortable seeing people cosplay as these characters, and I deleted the series from my watch list.
Yes, you heard that right. This person immediately deleted the entire anime from her playlist just because she saw the first episode of the anime where the characters wear what seems to be SS uniforms? You know what, screw it. You made me want to see this anime. I want to see what made you so freaking butthurt.
A few moments later.
The writer watched the first episode of ACCA and immediately quit, but I take a step further and watched 2 episodes instead. The anime is not as the writer described it initially. It's not a food anime. This is a political thriller, and so far it's a really good one. ACCA was an anime released in early 2017. The anime is about Jean, who is a part of a territory inspector in the civilian organization known as ACCA, and the story is about him investigating a conspiracy for a coup d'etat. Why would you go to a political thriller expecting food? There was a brief scene of the main character eating a giant strawberry, but that's it. The rest is a political thriller. Let's talk about the clothes. Why are the clothes black and red? Well, the anime has several authority figures. The darker the color, the higher the position for the respective authority figure. As for the red, the symbol for the entire organization is based on the extinct ACCA bird, which is colored red. That was explained quite literally in the beginning of the second episode. Since Jean is in a position of power and he's interacting with many of the people who are in the position of power, that's why you have people dressing up in black and red. So the writer went into ACCA expecting a food anime. That's like going into Monster and expecting Pop Team Epic.
Was my reaction petty? Should I have just powered through the series even if the uniforms offended me?
You're such a bitch.
Other anime fans were able to watch this without getting upset, so why couldn't I? Perhaps, most importantly, why do a considerable number of anime series have Nazi XPs? What is up with anime and fascism anyway?
Okay, writer, you're making me run out of Ghost Stories clip. So what is up with anime and fascism? It's not an anime thing, writer. It's a fiction in general thing. Fascism is a monstrous idea that is absolutely fantastic to explore in the realm of fiction. There are tons of great fictional works being made with the themes of fascism, and one of them is an anime where the character spouts more lewd jokes per second than the Hollywood Me Too suspects. You should have rewarded all of that with what's up with fiction and fascism. Trust me, the two have a very good relationship. They're so good that the first thing that they do is get straight to the big F.
One of the most popular anime in recent years, Attack on Titan, takes place within a walled city whose citizens are dominated by a militaristic government.
Yes, because there are titans around the city that will kill people if they're not exterminated. If the city is peaceful and it doesn't have titans around, then yes, it would be quite unreasonable to make the city militaristic, or at least to a degree that the anime showed, but there are titans outside the wall. They're gonna break through the city at any time, and they're not gonna go down unless we have people that can do that.
The main character, Eren Yeager, joins the elite army corps tasked with the destruction of gigantic, ravenous, human-like creatures called titans. The government controls every aspect of life within the city and spreads propaganda praising the military. Eren, seeking vengeance for losing his mother to the titans, completely buys into the corps' kill them all rhetoric. Attack on Titan takes place in a fascist state.
Yes, it makes sense why it's a fascist state in the context of the story. The Titans are there to eat people. They ate Eren's mother right on his face. They ate so many people, including the loved ones of the characters. I think anyone would subscribe to the kill 'em all rhetoric when they witness their own family being eaten alive. And what else are you gonna do with the Titans? Control them? Manipulate them to overthrow a fascist government? Actually, don't answer that. Huge spoilers. The writer then went on to mention Full Metal Alchemist and the film Conqueror of Shambhala, which features the Führer himself. Then the writer mentioned Mobile Suit Gundam, Legend of the Galactic Heroes, and of course Hetalia Axis Powers, because obviously, why wouldn't you mention Hetalia? Just a little bit reminder that the best thing that Hetalia does isn't to spawn more Nazis, but to spawn more horny Fujoshis. Then the writer cited Girls on Panzer. Yes. Girls on Panzer.
These tanks used to trundle across the fields of Europe, vanquishing everything in their paths, and the dissonance between the tank blowing stuff up while being piloted by a group of cute girls is at once delightfully empowering and oddly disturbing.
Well, congratulations, writer. You have stumbled upon the weirdness of Girls on Panzer. If you thought that was weird, you clearly need to see School Life. Then the writer called out Strike Witches and Kantai Collection of all things, talking about how Japan rewrites history and becomes more victorious in real life. How many Japan rewriting history controversies do we need? We already had one with Fate Go, and now you're gonna make more?
These cute girls are the reins of these powerful weapons of war, but their agenda focuses on friendship and fair play, not hate. But does that lack of evil forgive all the disturbing details?
Yes. It's called fiction, writer. If this is a personal issue that you have and not anyone else, I think you should just keep it to yourself.
Is this issue solely in the realms of military anime? Nope. The culinary competition anime Food Wars has a storyline featuring an elitist group of chefs who fear contamination of the cooking world by others who don't ascribe to traditional techniques. Their agenda involves teaching all aspiring cooks to make the exact same thing the exact same way without wiggle room for innovation. Yes, Food Wars depicts fascist foodies.
I can only hope she knew about Jesus.
There has to be something within the Japanese cultural landscape which lends itself to these narratives constantly popping up in its media.
No. Stop. No, there isn't really something special in the Japanese cultural landscape which lends itself to these narratives constantly popping up in its media. Fiction in general loves to explore the idea of fascism, especially using the idea of fascism as a villain material, and to highlight why those ideas do not work. It's common in anime, it's common in video games, it's common in books, it's common in TV. If you're trying to convince people to get away from the right, you're not doing a very good job. At this point, the writer rambles completely irrelevant points and shoves their politic as well by saying that Japan needs more immigrants. The country is conservative and it creates a reactionary environment that fears foreigners. You actually called Japan reactionary. Look in the freaking mirror. And again, this isn't gonna convince anyone to stay away from the right. This would actually convince most people to stay away from your side. Do you want to join the side that gets offended by a uniform in an anime so much that you delete your entire watch list to write blog posts on the internet? Yeah, sounds like very rational, very open-minded side.
Japanese society elevates and praises women who are submissive, delicate, and willing to acquiesce to men in all things. It's no wonder that some alt-writers gravitate towards moe girls as avatars to depict the sort of girls they want instead of those uppity feminists.
Writer. It's not just the alt-writers that gravitate towards moe girls and not those uppity feminists. It's literally everyone else. But since you call everyone else alt-right, then I guess you are technically correct.
Anime girls don't talk back after all, and many moe characters aren't shown in relationships unless the show is specifically a romance anime, freeing them from waifu status.
Writer, you can still get waifu status even if the character is taken by another character.
Outside of their cute personalities and their likes and dislikes, moe girls are considered a blank slate ready for love and trolly Nazi memes.
Oh, Writer, how was your trip to 4chan?
Perhaps it's the dissonance that appeals the most. The idea that such big-eyed, soft-featured characters could harbor such hateful, angry beliefs is handcrafted for the internet, where irony goes to die.
Irony goes to die. In your mind, for sure.
Fascism in anime becomes a problem when fans glorify and emulate these clearly evil characters.
Keyword when. And here's the thing, Writer. I agree that I do want to watch anime without any interference from these stupid real-world politics. That's why anime has never been the main factor in people's political leanings. Ever. People don't just watch Attack on Titan and immediately become Nazis. People don't just watch Gabriel Dropout and immediately become shills for the Mortally Challenge. People don't just watch ghost stories and immediately become pro-life.
God, can you go bomb an abortion clinic or something? You just wait. When that wonderful president finishes stacking the Supreme Court, we won't have to.
I know that you fear the Nazis, I know that you're scared of them and you want them to be gone, but the only way for you to do that is if you have convincing arguments. Unfortunately, we're living in a time where the best thing that the left can do is to screech like a hag. I don't really care about politics, but I can tell you for sure that you're not going to convince me to your side by screeching about minor things like this.
So, is there any need for the ACCA characters to be in those uniforms? No.
Yes, there are.
No, the uniforms don't seem to be involved in any plot points, but why have it at all? Why even attempt to evoke it when the imagery might, as it did with me, conjure up negative connotations?
Conjure up negative connotations. It didn't do that for me. It's all on you, Writer. The anime isn't attempting anything. You're just a freaking snowflake.
It only seemed like the manga creator just liked the aesthetic, and perhaps, like in those memes, there's a fun sense of irony in the dissonance between sympathetic characters and SSS uniforms. But irony in this current political climate is dead, and such fascist ideas should still be called out because there's an extremely fine line between a troll and a true believer. Ironic racism is still racism. Ironic fascism is still fascism.
Get your crackhead ass into some rehab.
Okay. This writer is a lunatic. Ironic racism is still racism. Ironic fascism is still fascism. Such fascist ideas should still be called out, even if those fascist ideas consist of the clothes that the characters are wearing, the themes that the story is trying to explore, the tools that the characters are using. You're not calling out fascism, writer. You're telling people, hey, we progressives really hate anime for the smallest of things. Please join us.
Will I continue to watch anime? Of course. Art is as much about interpretation as it is about authorial intent. And if I'm upset that something echoes an era of political belief I find troubling, I can make a choice to not watch it.
I would argue that it is a choice made by one absolutely bonkers logic, but hey, it's a choice regardless. I mean, people also have the choice to invoke the wrath of Gordon Ramsay. I personally wouldn't do it, but feel free.
Anime has so many subgenres that it's entirely possible to watch anime without a hint of fascist ideas, and fans should still call out problematic things when we see them. It's the only way to make sure the media we consume is diverse and inclusive.
I think you confuse diverse and inclusive with comforting for me, because this entire article relies upon your own personal issue. It's not an issue that anyone has, because pretty much every anime that you cited here are using those fascistic themes to discuss how terrible they are, and some are just using it for aesthetic purposes. You are just so terrified of anime that you legitimately believe that anime is going to turn people into Nazis. We need to make sure that the media we consume is diverse and inclusive. To whom? To a bunch of progressive snowflakes? Christ, no wonder why people are leaning right. It's always the left who gets so triggered in everything these days. And furthermore, why are you even publishing this tripe sci-fi? Is it because you're afraid that anime is gonna take you over? Or is it because you're afraid that people kept using your channel to highlight examples of terrible TV films?